Welcome to the 2011 State of the City Address. Everyone please rise for the presentation of colors by the Columbus City Schools Downtown High School Color Guard. Please remain standing as we are led in the singing of the national anthem by Ms. Katanya Ingram and the Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Max Damron.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rattling, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please have a seat.
I'm Mo Wright, president of the Rama Companies, and that consists of Rama Consulting Group and Milan Development. And most folks know Milan Development as the home of the Linden Cafe, and we own that particular property. I actually came to Columbus now about 10 years ago. Came here supposed to take a job, get an education at Ohio State, and then head back home, originally from North Carolina. But this community, I think, made me stay. I've been here now over a decade and don't look forward to leaving anytime soon.
I think Columbus is a great place to get life started.
Columbus offers a sense of belonging. For me, being an openly gay citizen of Columbus, it offers me, I feel safe here. Repeatedly, Columbus is ranked on a lot of top 10 lists for LGBT people and families.
Columbus's success, in large part, they have good, strong leadership in the city. They have a vibrant business community. They have a terrific arts community. You can see the sort of energy and all coming out of the universities.
Well, I think in a lot of ways the creative community is going to define Columbus in the future, especially taking creativity. The definition of creativity that we use a lot of times encompasses things like science, technology, innovation, entrepreneurship.
I really wanted to create something big in in Ohio, and if you're going to do that, new technologies, you do it in Columbus. Tracer chose to stay in Columbus because of all the activity around entrepreneurship and startups. The city has been very beneficial to Tracer by investing in Third Frontier projects. We wanted to create these jobs so that people that are graduating from Ohio State can stay here versus leaving for the West Coast or the East Coast.
Row would not exist without Columbus. I used to live in New York, so when I decided to move back, one was to be close to family, and two was to open up the business. It just seemed like the perfect fit. It was manageable, the rents were right, the downtown was right, we were thirsty for it.
You'll run into ambitious people in a lot of places. The people that are ambitious here want to own their future and want to help build their future.
It's a caring community. It's a place where businesses can get started and thrive and grow. And I just believe that the people, the atmosphere, that Midwestern values all make it a place where you can not only just want to live, but work and also play.
I think the residents here have a tenacity of the human spirit. There is always opportunities to volunteer, and I think that people, not because they have to, but because they want to, step up to the plate.
You can run into people and everybody seems familiar, but at the same time, you're constantly meeting new people.
Oh, I love the people. I think we're the friendliest place in the world now. That's the way I feel about it. They're very outgoing and very, very nice.
I feel great about being a resident here. I feel welcomed. I feel appreciated.
Columbus offers many of the amenities that I'm interested in a place that I want to call home. I have for many years gotten around by bicycle and by walking.
You have sort of the best of both worlds, where you have sort of the city and the universities and the museums here and the restaurants, but then there's also a community in that there are people that really care about Columbus and where they live.
It's just terrific. I mean, it's an amazing, vibrant city, Columbus is.
You know, I think Columbus tells its own story. So I think, you know, the best thing to do is to have them come and visit. Every one of my friends who've come here said, wow, we had no idea this is what Columbus had to offer. But when they do get here, they walk away with a view that I think is second to none.
Good evening. My name is Tom Pappas. Many of you are familiar with my restaurant, Tommy's Diner, here in Franklinton. Thank you. Opa. If you are not familiar with Tommy's Diner, I invite you to visit, and we will personally introduce myself, and I'm going to find a VIP booth just for you. Joining me tonight is my son Michael, who will one day take the reins from me in Tommy's Diner. Thank you.
We're here tonight because we love the city of Columbus. This is where my parents discovered and lived the American dream. They came here to find good schools, a good community, and a good life. They found all those things. They always believed that they would find opportunity here, even though their initial business ventures were not lucrative. After opening a couple of bars that did not last, they switched gears and opened Tommy's 22 years ago. While Tommy's didn't immediately succeed, it did so beyond their wildest dreams. The reason they succeeded is because Columbus is a city with great people, people who are motivated, optimistic, compassionate. Among the great people that my parents and I have had the pleasure of getting to know over the years is a man who we are here to introduce. For almost a dozen years, he has guided our city through difficult times, making us a stronger city along the way. He has been successful because he knows the strength of our city lies in our neighborhoods and in our people. We're pleased to call him our mayor, and we're proud to call him our friend. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mayor Michael B. Coleman.
My goodness. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. My goodness gracious. There's a lot of people in this room. Well, I'm so grateful for all of you to be here this evening, and Tommy and Michael for that kind introduction. And Tommy and his wife, you know, are both Greek immigrants. I guess you didn't know that. He put roots down in the city of Columbus 34 years ago and created a successful restaurant. And many of us have been to that restaurant many times over the years, Tommy's Diner. It's been a Columbus institution and a community cornerstone in this neighborhood for decades. Tommy's Diner is a family business. And you saw his son, Michael. He'll run it in the future while his other son, Louis, runs Milo's Deli down the street. I've been there, and you've been there. It's a great place to eat. You're a Columbus treasure, Tommy, and we thank you for your contributions to the city, as well as your grilled cheese sandwiches and chicken noodle soup. Let's hear it for Katanya. She was magnificent, wasn't she? Katanya Ingram. I wanted to come over and sing that rendition of the national anthem every morning before I go to work. And I want her to teach the words to Christina Aguilera at the same time. Andy Ginther told me to say that. And thanks so much to my dear friend Max. Wasn't Max marvelous? Max was out here. He comes every year for the past several years, and we've watched Max grow up because he's been at all of my State of the Cities in the past several years, and those that he couldn't come, I always featured him in my slide presentation. And I want to recognize my partners at City Hall. Columbus City Council President Andy Ginther, Council President Pro Tem Herschel Craig, I'm not sure if that was a cat call, and Council members Priscilla Tyson, Troy Miller, Eileen Paley, Zach Klein, and mighty Michelle Mills. And then there's City Auditor Hugh Dorian. Rick Pfeiffer with 3 Fs. And Municipal Clerk Lori Tyak. And I also want to recognize our wonderful partners. I mean, we are really done a lot together and going to do even more with Franklin County. Commissioners Marilyn Brown and Paula Brooks and John O'Grady, thank you so much. As well as all of our elected officials here tonight. And I also want to recognize Columbus City School Superintendent Gene Harris, who's here, my dear friend. The president of the board and all the members of the board, thank you so much for being here. And members of the legislature I see out there, we got a long list, and I love them all because they do such great work for their districts and for the city of Columbus. And I also want to thank members of my cabinet and staff, especially my chief of staff, Mike Reese. That was a forced applause. And thanks especially to all the members of my family for their constant love and support, especially my children who are here today. Justin and Kimberly, who flew in from Chicago and surprised me yesterday. And JD, who's in Jordan right now, going to school. And I have my brother here, Jeff. I see him over there. Elaine, my aunt. And Kathy Espy and all her family. We're like one big family. And I love them all. And they've been so supportive to me and of me for everything I've done, through the good times and all the bad times. And you don't know how grateful I am for all of that. And I want to welcome you all here this evening to the Center of Science and Industry, COSI. COSI is the best of its kind in the country, and it reflects where we are as a city that is on the cutting edge of science, technology, and education. This is also where 11 years ago, I stood here before you to give my very first State of the City. I'll never forget it. I could not sleep the night before. I thought of that time when I was a 7-year-old kid growing up in Toledo, Ohio. In the 2nd grade, at my Thanksgiving class play, I forgot my lines. I stood there on stage blank, frozen, speechless, before an entire gymnasium of proud parents, including my own. I'll never forget my teacher off on the side whispering, "Michael, Michael, repeat after me. Here are your lines." Now, I couldn't even get that right. I was so nervous 11 years ago that I changed my shirt twice before that speech. So here we are, 11 years later, a little older, a little balder, and you would think that by my 12th State of the City, in this address, that I would be as cool as a cucumber on a hot summer day. But I still hear my 2nd grade teacher right off on stage saying, "Michael, Michael, repeat after me." And guess what? I've already changed my shirt twice. But I stand here with as much enthusiasm and as much anxiety as 11 years ago. And like 11 years ago, I profoundly believe in the greatness of the city of Columbus. The greatness of our city is derived from the greatness of our people. We are built not from the top down, but from the bottom up. The light that shines so brightly on Columbus is the light that emanates from the heart and soul and spirit of our residents. And it is this quality of our residents that separates Columbus from every other city. Because we treat each other with respect, dignity, and empathy. We find strength in the diversity of ideas rather than allowing ourselves to be defined by our differences. In tough times, because we've had them, we meet adversity head on, only to come out stronger and better at the other end. And we never feel sorry for ourselves. We keep our promises and expect others to do the same in Columbus. And most of all, we are never satisfied of where we are, but always proud of who we are. I am more optimistic about the future of our city than at any other point, because we gather here today knowing that the state of our city is strong and getting stronger every day. We come together here at COSI on these banks of the Saudal River, where our great city was founded 199 years ago to lead this state in politics, government, education, innovation, and economics. It is here, in Franklinton, where our city developed the characteristics and the values that we maintain even to this very day. Franklinton. Franklinton is the birthplace of our leadership, as Franklinton is our first neighborhood. Franklinton is the birthplace of our perseverance. After a spring flood washed the settlement away, our forefathers moved this town just a little bit west and started all over again. Franklinton is the birthplace of our ingenuity. When the state of Ohio picked the state capital in 1812, Franklinton built the first Broad Street Bridge, charging 3 cents for foot passengers, 4 cents for a mule, and 75 cents for a wagon. Now that's a proposal we might have to reconsider. And Franklinton is the birthplace of our compassion. Because in 1803, Lucas Sullivan, the founder of our city, and his wife, found the baby of a slave left on their doorstep. They kept the child, nursed him, and raised him as their own, leading Arthur Boak Jr. to become this community's first African-American resident. It's those characteristics of our forefathers live on in leaders like Bruce Warner, Pauline Edwards, Larry Danduran, and Jim Sweeney. And then there's leaders like Helen Evans, who worked in a shoe factory while raising 4 children of her own. And she formed what is now known as the Franklinton Area Commission. And then there's leaders, yes, and leaders like Matt Egner, who brought his family to the neighborhood after purchasing a home from the city's Home Again program. And as a result, Matt launched a construction business right here, hiring right here Franklinton residents. And leaders like Carol Stewart, a Franklinton icon, and she has been championing for this community for almost 4 decades. Now, Carol isn't here today because she's recovering from surgery on her hip. And she couldn't be here, but you know what? She's watching us at home at this time. Hi, Carol. It is these characteristics of our people, of leadership, perseverance, compassion, that make our city great. It is in Franklinton where our forefathers put a stake in the ground 199 years ago and said, "Let us begin." And it is here where we must begin again 199 years later. It is to this end that I present to you a new neighborhood, molded out of our first neighborhood through a new partnership with the Franklinton Development Association, the Columbus Metropolitan Housing Authority, and a private developer called the Urban Smart Growth Company. We will develop the foundation of an affordable live-work community tailored to the creative sector just a few yards west of here. In doing so, we will market, incentivize, and build an affordable neighborhood tailored for live-work housing for our city's creative sector. Now, our creative sector includes a lot of people, anybody who wants to be in it. Professions like artists, designers, performers, media, architects, engineers, techies, marketers, and those in the advertising industry. We've already begun this development. New and vastly improved access to Franklinton because of new Main Street Bridge, the new Main Street Bridge and the new Rich Street Bridge opens this area to new investment, new opportunities, and new possibilities. And the city will make its first investment in the amount of $900,000 in a warehouse to be owned by the Franklinton Development Association as an important catalytic project for this area. The Franklinton Development Association will transform the warehouse into 42 units designed for living and working. And the 4 partners, along with neighborhood leaders, will establish a joint development plan embracing this new live-work creative district. Now, the Urban Smart Growth Company will renovate an old abandoned factory with cheap commercial space marketed for creative businesses, retail, and entertainment uses. They will demolish a portion of the B&T Metal site, which is located nearby, and implement a plan that embraces both living and working along McDowell Street. This summer, CMHA will relocate the residents currently located at Riverside Bradley to a new facility on West Broad Street and demolish the entire area for a fresh, new, and exciting start for Franklinton. CMHA, I really like CMHA. CMHA will construct a mixed-income neighborhood similar to New Village Homes in the Italian Village area. This creative live-work district will be a healthy, sustainable community connected to downtown housing. It will be cool, it will be funky, and most of all, it will be an affordable place to be. And the market exists. The Brookings Institute says that Columbus is one of the few cities in the nation where recent college graduates have chosen to live as young professionals rather than move somewhere else in America. And you know, that's good news, as 115,000 college students live in 26 colleges and universities right here in Central Ohio. We want them to live, work, invest, and raise their children right here in Columbus after they graduate. It will take that same leadership and perseverance that began here in Franklinton to turn our first neighborhood into a stronger neighborhood. Now, it will be hard, and there will be challenges along the way. But like our forefathers said 199 years ago, let us drive a stake in the ground today and say, let us begin. Now, as we begin to do so, we are a city that's recognized all around the nation. We stand tonight in the nation's best science museum. We also have the best zoo, the best public library, and the best public university, The Ohio State University. And Columbus is the headquarters of 14 of the top 1,000 companies in America. Columbus has consistently, year after year, been ranked as one of the top cities for African Americans, gays, lesbians, and immigrants. It is one of the safest big cities in America, one of the top cities for volunteers, one of the most affordable cities, and one of the best cities to find a job and relocate a business. And I see my daughter in the audience, and I want her to know that Columbus is also the 4th best shopping city in America. Go, girl. The Community Shelter Board's Rebuilding Lives program is a national model for treating and serving our most vulnerable residents, the homeless. And Columbus has also become a leader in environmental protection. It is our hope that people who have led the way will continue leading the way in making Columbus one of the greenest cities in America. People like Patricia Price, principal of Devonshire Elementary School, who helped her students spearhead a movement to discontinue the use of styrofoam plates in Columbus City schools. You know, it's work like this that has helped Columbus catapult itself to the national scene as our city's fleet has been recognized as one of the greenest in the nation. And this year, we will dedicate the largest compressed natural gas fueling station in the Midwest. We're constructing green LEED certified buildings and inspiring people and businesses to get green through our popular Green Spot program. And next year, we will finally begin a comprehensive curbside recycling program for every single family household in Columbus. And we have been cleaning up polluted areas with the first grants from the Green Columbus Fund. It's initiatives like these make us stronger and more sustainable as a city. And yet there is so much more to do. Tonight, I propose an initiative that will reform the way we do business and make us stronger and even more sustainable as a region. And we follow the path blazed by great leaders like another West Side icon, Mayor M.E. Sensenbrenner, who with tremendous foresight and vision established an annexation policy that we follow even today, more than 50 years later. Mayor Sensenbrenner changed who we are as a city, and it has paid off over the years with job growth and population growth. And his policy remains largely intact. In other words, no water and sewer unless that property is annexed to the city of Columbus. And upon annexation, you can use our services instead of trucking sewage through our neighborhoods all the way to Marysville. And while other cities shrank, Columbus grew. And while other cities could not pay their bills, Columbus prospered. We stand today at another crossing the road where we as a community must plot a course that will keep us strong for the future. Columbus can be a greater city by leading a great region. And each of the jurisdictions surrounding Columbus must also shift to a more regional paradigm. Individual jurisdictions can no longer expect to prosper in this new fiscal environment unless each jurisdiction begins to share services, share expenses, and maybe even share revenue. Most importantly, we must share a common vision that for Columbus and Central Ohio to thrive, we must work together to grow together. We already work together in many ways. Over the past 10 years, we have come together to merge our airports, protect the Derby, create jobs, promote home ownership, and advance environmental stewardship, all on a regional basis. But whether we live in Dublin, New Albany, Grove City, Hilliard, or Columbus, every jurisdiction in Central Ohio buys supplies, equipment, and services. Every jurisdiction in Central Ohio collects trash, recycles, and maintains its roads after building them. And the costs to do so keep rising. And the ability to provide these services presents a greater challenge every year. It's simple. Costs go up, the ability to pay for them goes down. Taxpayers can reach into their pockets only so much. At the very least, we must begin to explore what we can do better together as a region to make each of our jurisdictions stronger and better as a community. And in addition to helping each other provide better service and save money, we must grow our economy by attracting new investment and jobs to our region. And all of our jurisdictions, we must stop poaching jobs from one another. Too often, municipalities, including Columbus, are pitted against each other in the fight for jobs. Companies shake down communities for incentives that, frankly, are unhealthy for that city and for the region as a whole. Too often, our communities and all of our jurisdictions are locked in a zero-sum game, with winners and losers competing for existing jobs that do not grow our job base and do not increase our prosperity. We simply compete against each other for the same exact jobs. I believe this has gone too far and is holding Central Ohio hostage at the very time that we must advance as a region in this new economy. So I'm launching an effort to explore two things. Number one, which services can be combined across jurisdictional lines? And number two, how can we grow our economy by working together rather than working against each other? This new effort will take a year or longer to figure out. And I invite the Chamber of Commerce, whose breakfast I was at this morning, the Columbus Partnership, and the jurisdictions of this entire region to work with us to get this done in this community. Although Columbus has been hit hard, we have not been knocked out by this national recession. Too many of our residents are without jobs, but we have weathered this severe economic downturn better than other cities. Since the approval of the tax increase, we've announced more than 9,600 new jobs in the city of Columbus. And the Associated General Contractors of America says that we added 2,700 construction jobs in the last year, more than any other city in the nation. Now, we were able to do this because of our high quality of life, our diverse economy, and our people. Our people who are creating homegrown businesses, like Joe Spinelli. Joe Spinelli strengthened our economic base by opening a new downtown location to his Spinelli's Deli last year. He also stepped up by offering healthier food choices on his menu. Mark Ballard and Tom Feeney turned their passion for brownies into a successful business. And that business is called Sugar Daddies. Sugar Daddies at Polaris and downtown. Sugar Daddies has been named by the Food Network as the best of the best right here in Columbus. And then Kurt Moody. I've known Kurt Moody a long time. I think I saw him here somewhere. Kurt Moody formed Moody Nolan Architects in 1982. His firm is widely considered the #1 minority-owned architectural firm in America. In America. 170 employees, 7 locations and projects all over the world, headquartered in Columbus. And then there's Nancy Kramer, the CEO and founder of Resource Interactive. I love this company. A digital and interactive marketing firm also founded in the early 1980s. Now, she won't want me to say this, but when I met her, Resource had about 30 employees. Today, this female-owned company has 350 employees, now ranked number 4 on the top advertising agencies in America, with a long list of impressive clients. Nancy Kramer. And I also want to thank Council President Andy Ginther for his leadership on this issue of job creation. In the next 2 years, we're going to see even more job growth. We will see new jobs at the new Hilton Convention Hotel currently under construction downtown. We'll see new jobs derived from the thousands of new visitors at the South Mile Park to open in July, and at Columbus Commons, a gathering place and the epicenter of new downtown retail and residential and office space around the park. We're also partnering with our business community on the Columbus 2020 initiative to position Columbus as the jobs leader in the nation. Job growth for the next economy will be fueled by new, clean energy sources. New energy sources will affect the cars we drive, the homes we live in, and the products we buy. And Columbus is poised to become the national center for new sources of energy. Did you know in 2010, Columbus was chosen as a location for the Ohio Hub of Innovation for Advanced Energy? And businesses like Coda Automotive, Plug Smart, Venturi, and others are locating here in Columbus to research, manufacture, and globally distribute products such as electric vehicles, charging stations, and energy storage systems. Thousands of these jobs can flourish here in Columbus. If Coda Automotive receives a federal loan of $500 million, these possibilities become realities right here. Congressman T. Berry and I have established a bipartisan task force to get that loan here. The task force includes Senators Brown, Portman, Congressman Stivers, and Governor Kasich, and I thank all of them for their partnership on this important effort. Now, when you came in today, you may have seen the Coda Automotive electric car in the lobby. It's yellow. They gave me permission to tell you can ride it around the city. So when you leave here tonight, just ask for the keys. It's an electric car. And Plug Smart's charging station is right next to it. They're both in the lobby, and just check it out. Now, Henry Ford's assembly line revolutionized how we produce cars. Coda Automotive's electric vehicle technology could be just as transformative while creating thousands of jobs in the process. Columbus. This next economy is ours to own. And I want to thank Councilwoman Eileen Paley for her leadership on this issue and all the green technology she's involved in. We in Columbus have a good story to tell about this city. The more we tell our story, the better the economic benefit to our residents. Because as we tell our story, we are marketing who we are and what we have to offer to businesses looking for a place to land, to tourists looking for a place to visit, to conventions looking for a place to meet. The travel industry alone generates nearly 50 million visitors a year, spending more than $7 billion, that's a B, $billion annually in this community. So we must tell our story every chance we get. This city's bicentennial is 1 year away, And our bicentennial will celebrate our past, launch us into the future, and fill each of us with civic pride. But most importantly, the bicentennial is our great opportunity to promote economic prosperity just by telling our story. And that's what we'll be doing in 2012. In order to continue job growth, we need to continue our record of strong fiscal management. After all, what company would want to locate in a city that can't pay its bills? Columbus is the only major city in the nation that has the highest credit rating among all 3 major rating agencies. We're constantly tightening our belts, spending less than budgeted, and we're restoring our rainy day fund. We enacted reforms on pension and health care costs projected to save our taxpayers $115 million. And we did this, by the way, we achieved this, and we achieved all these savings through the collective bargaining process by working with our unions, not busting our unions. Thank you. I don't want anybody to doubt where I stand on this issue. Now look, we lived through tough times and we still have more to go. But our record of fiscal management is unmatched by any major city in the nation. No one's done it better than Columbus. Councilman Troy Miller has been a great partner in this effort, and I thank him. I also want to thank Hugh Dorian, the greatest auditor of all time. I call Hugh Dorian the Muhammad Ali of municipal auditors. For his leadership on all right. For his leadership on keeping our city strong and sound. Think about this. Think about it. The world is in chaos. The state is financially unstable, but the city of Columbus is a city that works. And it is the people of our city that make it work. Thanks to voter support for both our capital and operating funds, by voting to raise their own income taxes, we are now able to fulfill the promise that we've made on neighborhood investments. Neighborhoods are the lifeblood of the city of Columbus, and these investments will make our city stronger and better. And while we are not perfect, we do a good job of picking up the trash, providing safe neighborhoods, providing clean water, keeping our streets clean, and yes, our snow warriors have done a great job this winter plowing and clearing streets from snow and ice. And today I'm proud to announce that we will invest $30 million in resurfacing streets and alleys in Columbus. Now, I'm going to put this in context. This represents the largest single-year investment in street and alley resurfacing in the history of our city. More than 225 lane miles and approximately 60 miles of alleys and neighborhoods all over the city. And I want to thank Councilwoman Priscilla Tyson for her leadership on these and other capital improvement projects. Thank you, Priscilla. We will also be investing another $4 million in accessible sidewalks so our kids don't have to walk in the streets on the way to school. And since we started this effort a decade ago, we've built 63 miles of sidewalks, which, if laid end to end, would take us halfway to Cleveland. And finally, we will be investing almost $3.5 million to build bikeways and bike paths so we can make Columbus Bike City, USA. By our bicentennial, Columbus will have more than 110 miles of bikeways and bike paths, which, if laid end to end, would take us 3/4 of the way to Cleveland. Now, at this rate, if we keep building sidewalks and bike paths, we will be able to walk or ride our bikes all the way to Cleveland, since we won't be able to ride a train. And I want to recognize Councilman Herschel Craig for his leadership on this important effort. I appreciate him very much. Strong neighborhoods mean safe neighborhoods. That's why we invest more than 70% of our general fund budget in public safety. But even with this significant investment in safety, we had an unacceptable spike in homicides last summer. We responded by sending out police community response teams, which immediately reduced violence in our neighborhoods. We formed the Coalition for a Nonviolent Columbus to reach out into the grassroots to address violence and crime at the street level. We're installing approximately 115 cameras this year in 5 neighborhoods to deter crime and to detect criminals. And we're hiring 154 new police officers and 145 new firefighters this year. It's these approaches that keep Columbus the safest big city in Ohio. And according to Underwriters Laboratories, we are now the 2nd safest city in America for families with younger children. And I want to thank Councilwoman Michelle Mills for her leadership in keeping our neighborhoods safe. Thank you. Now, true leadership derives from citizens' leadership. Citizens like Pat Wood, who started the Sharon Woods Block Watch, which now has almost 100 members and is one of the most effective and aggressive in the city. But with every major step we take to make our city safer, state gun laws put our citizens at greater risk. Last year, the Columbus Division of Police confiscated more than 2,600 guns. That's 2,600 guns off the streets of Columbus in just 1 year. Last year, illegal guns were used in more than 74% of homicides in Columbus. And that's 78 people in Columbus killed by a gun. A plain and simple fact. There are too many guns on the streets of Columbus. They are taking the lives of too many of our young people. Every day in America, 34 Americans are murdered with guns. And on stage with me today are 34 victims, their family members and friends whose lives have been changed because of gun violence. Their pain is our pain. Their tragedy is our tragedy. Gani Goings and her family are here with us today. Gani's son Derek was murdered with a gun in a robbery. Since then, Gani has founded Hearts Healing Hearts, which helps those who are grieving take a stand against violence. Thank you, Gani. And then there's Nick Branxton, was shot along with 4 other young men at a party on the east side of Columbus. His friend Eric Reeves lost his life that night at the age of 17. Nick survived. While we will never prevent all gun violence, it seems to me we can and we should use common sense to keep guns out of the hands of criminals. Common sense is all I'm asking for. Common sense suggests that you don't authorize and encourage a toxic mix of concealed weapons and alcohol at bars and nightclubs. Common sense suggests you don't allow those convicted of trafficking cocaine or selling drug paraphernalia to children to also buy and carry guns. As far-fetched and ridiculous as they may seem, these are real proposals that could be adopted as law by our state legislature. Common sense suggests that when 30% of crime guns in the country pass through a loophole that allows private gun sellers at gun shows to sell guns without a background check, then that loophole needs to be closed. In fact, an undercover investigator discovered that 83% of the time, gun dealers at the Westland Gun Show right here in Central Ohio knowingly sold guns to people who admitted they could not pass a background check. Now, C&E is the company that holds gun shows at Westland Mall. Without the proper background checks, unlicensed private gun sellers will have the ability to sell to gangsters, criminals, and drug pushers at the C&E gun show. C&E, we are calling you out today. We are calling you out. Because if you have a nickel of moral responsibility in your pocket, I ask you to spend it in Columbus. Require background checks on all private gun sales at your gun shows. Common sense is all we're asking for. We must also refocus and reconnect with our young people. It is up to us to each of us to ensure that our youth are shooting for the stars, not shooting at each other. It is up to us. It is up to each of us to ensure that our young people are driven to excel in life, not sitting in a cell for life. Our community can and we must save this generation of young people in Columbus. Some have already been at work on the task of saving our youth for years. People like Melvin Stewart, a Korean War veteran who created the Near East Side Community Resource Center and Youth Outreach Program and has served as a beacon of light for young people in the Mount Vernon area. And I want to recognize Council Member Zach Klein for working to help our young people as well. Thank you, Councilman. Last year, we reopened all of our rec centers. But it was not enough. Now, as our rec centers' doors are held wide open, we must reach out and bring our kids in. We must intervene in their lives, meet them on their turf to keep them out of harm's way and show them the right way. It is to this end we present to you the APPS program. APPS stands for Applications for Purpose, Pride, and Success. Now, you know, intervention means prevention. Our goal is to intervene in the lives of 14 to 18-year-olds. Then we will engage them through their passions, whether they be music, sports, technology, or the arts, and we will prepare them for success. Boys are dropping out of school at alarming rates. And when they drop out, they end up on a dead-end road. And many of these boys don't read at a functional level or can't read at all. So today I announce City Readers, a new literacy initiative shaped in partnership with Columbus Board of Education member Hanifa Kamban. City Readers will focus on developing young men first as readers, then as leaders. Now, you know, we want to make sure our young people live in great neighborhoods. Some of our neighborhoods have been subject to severe decline and neglect over generations. Some neighborhoods require a holistic approach, a comprehensive approach to rebuild them. Rebuilding neighborhoods is among the most important work we do and the most difficult work we do. You see, true neighborhood revitalization does not take place overnight. There is no magic wand. It requires dedication, it requires patience, and a strong spirit. And when it is done successfully, we strengthen our city, bringing new hope to our residents. Over the next couple of years, we will witness the transformation of neighborhoods in every part of the city of Columbus. We will witness the transformation of Wineland Park, where the abandoned Columbus-coated plants symbolize the blight and decay of this neighborhood. A new neighborhood will rise with 500 new houses seeded by $11 million from the city of Columbus. The first 31 homes will be constructed this May by the Wagenbrenner Company. We will witness the transformation already underway in the neighborhood around Nationwide Children's Hospital. Our partnership with Children's Hospital has resulted in the renovation and repair of 45 homes just this past year, and we expect a minimum of 100 new homes by 2013. This partnership is also tackling health issues like childhood obesity and strengthening workforce and economic development in the entire area. We will witness the transformation also underway in the neighborhood around University Hospital East. We are partnering with the Ohio State University and the Columbus Metropolitan Housing Authority to spend millions over the next decade to improve the quality of life in that East Side neighborhood. And we will witness the transformation of the South Side. Where the original Schottenstein department store once stood. This will be the home of a new 20,000 square foot health center that will serve the South Side. But it's comprehensive. So we'll also invest $1.2 million for 40 new housing opportunities on Ennis Avenue. And Ennis Avenue is now littered with vacant and abandoned houses all up and down it. We will witness the transformation of American Addition. American Addition is the most egregiously neglected urban neighborhood I have ever seen. A rural enclave right in the middle of a large city. A close-knit community that was the home of many solid families with solid values. In the 1920s, the wells in this neighborhood were all condemned, and the mortality rate was 4 times higher than the rest of the city. So the city annexed American Addition in 1959 with promises. Promises of new investments. And while the city initially installed sewer and gas lines, it failed to deliver on most of its promises to the people of American Addition. And the residents felt betrayed, and they moved away. American Addition dwindled from approximately 200 homes at its heyday to where it is today, only 52 homes. But there were those in the neighborhood who did not lose hope. Led by Marie Moreland Short and her son Jimmy Moreland, these folks hung on to their pride. They worked to rebuild this neighborhood. They built a community garden and fixed up properties, and they asked the city for help. Marie is right here. I see her. Stand up, Marie. And Jimmy, stand up. I want you to know we will embrace American Addition and do what the city should have done generations ago. Keep our promises. Columbus Housing Partnership has led the planning to revitalize this neighborhood, and I want to thank everyone at CHP for their commitment. And while we already set aside $1 million for infrastructure a couple of years ago, we are now going to step it up and set aside an additional $4 million for the basics. Basic things like new streets and alleys and water lines and curbs and gutters and sidewalks and street lights. And we'll break ground next year on the construction of the first 50 homes. And by the time our partnership is complete, 150 new homes will be constructed. And the entire neighborhood, including the infrastructure, will be rebuilt to a green, sustainable standard. In the years to come, it will be all American to live in American Edition. You know, when I think about the people whose daily, unselfish contributions make Columbus great. People who just stepped up because the job needed to get done. It's difficult not to think of a dear friend we lost last year, Mary Teresa Funk. Now, there's a story about Mary. She was a passionate advocate for the Harrison West neighborhood, where she lived for 37 years, before it was even called Harrison West, fighting tooth and nail for her community. I learned her voice before I knew her name, and learned her name before I ever saw her face. Mary Teresa would call me every week when I was an aide to Councilman Ben Espy and give me hell standing up for her neighborhood. So when I became mayor, I needed a hell raiser. So I hired her for our Action Center and 311 call center. It was a perfect hire because Mary Teresa was a walking action center. No resident's complaint was too trivial to merit her attention. No resident's need was too great. Nobody worked harder and nobody impacted the lives of our constituents more directly than she did. We lost Mary Teresa in November, and we continue to miss her. And although we can no longer rely on her talents, we can still follow her example. That's why I'm proud to announce that the playground in the Harrison West neighborhood will be officially named the Mary Teresa Funk Playground. Mary's family is here today. Please stand. You know, as we look toward our city's bicentennial, let's use it as our launching pad for greater things to come. Let's celebrate our people, those unsung heroes like Mary Teresa and so many others. In reflecting upon our bicentennial, I came across an old textbook written 5 decades ago by a Columbus City School staff member named Anna Mae Martin. This closing passage in this book could have been written today. It says, and I quote, "It is hard to believe that so many changes have taken place in just a few short years. But if Columbus founder Lucas Sullivan would be surprised with the Columbus of the day, what of the Columbus of the future?" She went on to say that, yes, we can dream of the future, but like Lucas Sullivan, we have to work hard to make it come true. As we grow with our city, new problems will face us. By being good citizens and by helping with things that can make our city a better place in which to live, we can always say with pride, I live in Columbus. God bless you. God bless the city of Columbus.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending the 2011 State of the City Address. Please join us for light refreshments in the adjacent gallery directly behind your seats. Please have a safe trip home. We hope to see you next year at the Bicentennial State of the City.
The less you find out as you go.